So my highlight of today was Sarah Schmidt's keynote presentation at Eurospy about terminology management at Oracle NetSuite. So what was your highlight today, or since we last met? Antonina.
So there's no special highlight. So we have a huge workload,
Okay.
and not enough time to discuss terminology. And it's a pity, because there is a special terminology born during the crisis. And I don't mean this medical terminology related to the virus, but the terminology related to the organization, for instance, of the meetings, of the work of the institution during the crisis.
Interesting. Could you give us an example?
For instance, we have a new kind of meetings now. When part of the participants are present physically in the room.
Okay.
Part of them are in their home countries, and they participate online. And so now it is called hybrid meeting.
Hybrid meeting. Okay, interesting.
So
like the conference, like Eurospy, like today and yesterday we did. So some were on site and some were at home at their home offices or wherever online joining.
Yes, but it's not easy to translate it, because
what's hybrid? Very true. Interesting.
Yes, because in some languages this word has some connotations, and if somebody is not familiar with the concept, so this person may have a wrong may get a wrong idea.
Of course. Immediately when I listened to you, a car was popping up in my mind, you know. So it 50% or at least the one part of the motor electric, and the other with fuel, with gas and oil. So that's interesting. And how did you handle that?
That was my question. How do you translate in a hybrid car? Because now my head is just going like hybrid, you know, hybrid.
So how did you solve this issue?
In Bulgarian now it is комбинирано заседание, so combined meeting.
Yeah. That sounds better, I think.
I hope so, but it was a big discussion, and it's a pity that we have a lot of work, because you don't have enough time to discuss those issues. And I think that the new terminology, so it's important, because if we don't fix the problems now, it would be very difficult to deal with this later.
Of course, Kirsten, please.
Sorry, Antonia. Oh, sorry, will you finish? But what crosses my mind when I hear meeting combinarios or whatever in Bulgarian, okay, this makes me laugh like this. You just made my day, Antonina, you don't know it. It's just, because it reminds me of also one of the conversations we had in either the last call or the call also on diversity, is if you take a for metaphorical language, no, master and slave for the plug, plus minus. If you take away the metaphor of hybrid, meaning, you know, a mix, half of something, although not always half. Hybrid can be 20, 80, 30 seconds. But what I'm feeling right now, and I have what's it called, goosebumps, because actually combinarios means, just like when you remove the metaphor language, you have to simplify everything. Otherwise, in translation, it will be even worse. So you know, why the whole world just doesn't call it CM, you know, combination meetings. No, some are going to say hybrid, some are going to say half-half, some are going to say, and that's to your point, it was not set with this new world, because the new world arrived too quickly. And this is going to be, if we're not allowed to use, or if we're discouraged to use metaphorical language, master, slave, etc., and we have to simplify everything also conceptually, this is fascinating. This is, my head is going.
You're raising an amazing issue, Kirsten. We even today, this morning, in after Sarah's keynote, we were discussing easy to understand language. You know, the accessible language, and that's exactly the point. And these guys, so much used to all the restrictions we have in software, you know, they say, wow, but an easy to understand language usually is actually more extensive, you know, so larger. But I'm not sure, you know, I always thought that sign language is actually a more, you know, let's say more time consuming way to communicate. And in many cases, it's the opposite. With one gesture, you're able to express one concept, even one sentence, you know. That was really a very interesting experience I made years ago with sign language. And maybe if we are so much used, you know, to think in this way of expressing concepts, yeah, not in this metaphoric way, but in the easy, accessible, easy to understand way, maybe we manage to get even shorter. So that's very, very interesting. But this is a mega trend, you know, and it's so much beneficial, not only for people with impairments, you know, or disabilities, not at all. It is great. Imagine if, first of all, for all the citizens, think about laws. A legal text is not written for us, the citizens. A legal text increasingly was written for lawyers. You know, it's the way they communicate. And this is, of course, a no-go for a democratic, you know, living together. Yeah, it is us, the target group of these texts. We have to understand. And, you know, I think I have 3 or 4 academic degrees. So obviously, I'm able to understand something, but a legal text, you know, without this specific knowledge of a lawyer, you know, I really have difficulties to understand. So, you know, think about people who do not have this education, etc., etc. So. Plus, also foreigners, you know, also for migrants, it is particularly beneficial for them to have such a much easier to understand language, official language for legal requirements, for all kinds of official documents. So I think this is a very exciting development that diversity increasingly now points us to digital accessibility and this, you know, cognitive accessibility. I think, and there we had last year at EuroSpy, we had a wonderful, it was in Edinburgh, it was face-to-face, and there it was a wonderful colleague, also ECQA certified terminology manager, Brigitte Walche. She was giving a paper in our team skills, and there is one workshop dedicated to team skills and diversity and also terminology. We don't highlight terminology, but it is there. And she gave a paper about, and the presentation about exactly that issue of the requirements of terminology managing software, yeah, related to easy to understand language. So this is really, really interesting. I can share the paper with you. Yeah, this is definitely so, and there is an ISO committee. There is an ISO committee about easy to understand language, and this is a good sign that it's global, you know, and that there is a market need, because ISO doesn't accept, you know, new technical communities and new standards if there is no need. Yeah.
Gabriele?
Yeah.
Gabriele, are you talking about the TC37, I think
Exactly.
working group 10? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Huh? Because I don't know how many of you are German, not so many. We are mirroring the ISO TC 37 working group 10 plain language.
Yes, plain language, it's actually
Yeah,
exactly.
plain language topic.
Yeah.
And should anybody be interested, I'd be happy to.
Yeah. I sent you some already.
Yeah.
Yes, I sent you Rocio from the University of Munich. She is a wonderful colleague. I'm involved in this project with her. They do great jobs with live text. Yeah, live text as that's intralingual live subtitling. It's amazing.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
And she just wrote a PhD work actually about plain language, easy to understand language, and I was bringing her in yours. She's already
that would make a great PhD topic. Like my head
yeah,
is going like bam, 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 da, 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 da.
yeah, that's really a wonderful topic, and she was so happy. She felt so honored. I was telling her, well, Rocio, you will need to work, and she says yes, I'm so keen on contributing. Yeah, and all these technical committees, they so much rely on this passion and contribution. So I think it is a wonderful win-to-win situation. Yeah.
Yes, and we
Are you involved, Sabine? Are you
yes,
involved?
I'm the convener of NAT,
Mhm.
the 7,
Yeah.
oh God, Ausschuss. Okay, there is yeah. There are
auf Deutsch.
I'm thinking
the
working group. Isn't it working group? No.
Yeah, maybe. I never thought about it before because yeah, it's called in the Normenausschuss Terminologie. Okay, and yeah,
It's the technical committee.
The technical committee within DIN,
Mhm.
the German standardization institution. There is maybe working group 7, and I'm its convener. And
no, it's SC. It's subcommittee.
Subcommittee.
Yes.
Okay.
And within a subcommittee, again, you can have several working groups. Yes, it's SC subcommittee.
Okay, then it's an SC, and I'm that SC convener, and we have 2 subgroups still, and one is translation oriented. Technical communication, and that's the number 1, and number 2 is plain language.
Wonderful.
The mirroring institution for the ISO standard.
Yeah. That was really a big thing that they opened up for these topics. 10 years ago, when I suggested these things, and we're talking about diversity, but this is actually nothing for us, so even our community, even the language people didn't understand. So how would you
Strange, huh?
expect others? Yeah. Well, these terminography and terminology, it's so different.
And
yes, to a certain extent, but of course there, or in archives or in the bibliographic data, for instance, has nothing to do, archivas, it has nothing to do with terminology. So the notion, of the concept of what terminology is, also changed a lot.
Yes, huh? Yeah. But I wanted to just tell everybody that if anybody of you should be interested, the first session will be the constituting session, so to say, will be on the 9th of November. Yes, as an online meeting, a virtual meeting, not hybrid. Yeah. And I think we have a lot of people already, but we're happy to invite everybody who is interested.
Wonderful. But is that really an open meeting, or do you can
You
only
have to be a member,
delegate?
a
Yes.
dean member here.
Yeah. So it's not for individuals. Actually, you have to be sent. Yeah, you have to be kind of you know, from an official body, yeah, from a university, or also companies. You know, you then have to even send a CV and an application. You know. But it's still free of charge. In Austria, they they experimented with charging experts for taking part in standardization committees, but it didn't work. Yeah,
Yeah, that's a bit different. Something changed in Germany too, but it's a bit different, the system. You still have to be a dean member to participate, and you have to apply and so on. Yes, like you just told us. And I don't remember when I started doing standardization. I sent myself to dean
Wow.
in the first place, but then TECOM jumped in and
nominate. Actually, we need a nomination. That's the correct term.
Yes.
By the way, we had last time, I think, we had a conversation also here in our group about the value of standards, and I really can recommend you to apply for that for becoming a member of your standardization organization, yeah, because every ISO member in your national member states has such a mirroring committee for TC37. That is our terminology technical committee. TC37, we have that in every every course, yeah, we do, and for the ECQA certification, yeah, that's mandatory that you have at least diverse location. Yeah, that's also good. You're still thinking about the hybrid. But it's really a good idea. Yeah, Kirsten, you're based in Switzerland, so you could do with that with the Swiss.
Well, I was just thinking about what you said. Did you say to join our local ISO?
Yeah, that's your national standardization organization. You know.
Yeah, you mean the ITU? You mean the ISO, the headquarters in Geneva?
Yes, but you know, the mirroring committee. Also, what? No, you go to your Swiss standards organization, and you say, well, where you first do your homework, check the website. Where is the mirror committee for ISO TC37? Yeah, that's the terminology committee, and there is one also in they call it the mirroring committee. Yeah, which deals with a standardization committee that deals with terminology issues. And there you're an expert and you're just applying. Yeah, you check that out. Who is the convener there? Who is managing that committee? And then you're applying. You're saying, hey, I'm a terminology expert, and I would like to work in that committee, to take part. And then you can influence standards. You know, that is great.
It's so much fun. You just that was just another kick of motivation to pass my exam, huh?
Exactly. Then you have an even better reputation. Good argument. Exactly.
Super, danke.
And Antonina, for you, that would be also very very interesting. Yeah, to work with Bulgarian Standards Institute. Yeah, so. And what about the other colleagues present today? Sonia, what was your highlight, or do you intend to get nominated for your Standards Institute? You're based in Germany also? You're muted. You need to unmute yourself. Yeah, here we go.
No, I'm in Zurich, in Switzerland as well.
Switzerland as well. So you can partner.
Yeah, I just took some notes about it. But well, no, I don't have. Had 4 weeks of vacation, so I have no issues at all. I have issues to come back to work again.
Yeah.
It's quite difficult after 4 weeks.
Yeah. Barbara, what about you? What about your terminology highlights?
Actually, we had some quite good highlights because we now finally started our terminology management process. So we went live with our terminology database and the workflows. So that was quite a success. So I'm really happy about that.
Great. Did you celebrate it?
Yeah, a bit, let's say. So, I mean, after release, of course, we now have the next steps. We need to ensure that it is really fully integrated into all processes. So there's still work to do for sure. But
always. That's why we have so many good occasions and excuses to celebrate
that's
the milestones. That's really important.
And combined with that, what maybe is also quite a what I like as a personal success, let's say, is that we have also addressed this diversity topic. Of course, not on such a global critical level, but for our software. So I was able to get the buy-in from our head of department for these gender topics, and we have now decided that we are going to stop using the male form in as a standard.
Wow!
And this was really quite a this was really quite a fight because we
of course,
as you can imagine, I work at a software developing company, and they are even if that's or let's say it's there are still a lot of established views that this is not something to be taken seriously, and that we have more important things to do, and why can't we continue saying der Benutzer muss dies und das tun and der Anwender blah blah blah. And so I'm really happy that we are now going to address this both in our software and in the documentation.
Wow, that's a big milestone. That's in German, you know. In Austria we were advanced in that respect, you know. Of course it was, controversial, everything, but you know, a couple of years ago, I think 3 or 4 years ago, I published an article in MDU, I think, in this of course it was the gendered language, and they everything was done in the male form, and I was protesting. I said, what did you do to this article? Oh, but we're very sorry, that's our, you know, that's how we do it. And all women in the whole editorial team, but it was, and I was like, hey guys, but this is really and now you see, yeah, things improve and change. So Sabine, what was, except the tax issue, what was your terminology highlight?
Yeah, okay. I didn't have so many highlights. I'm just in the process of translating a taxonomy for manufacturing processes.
Interesting.
Because in the IRRDS committee within TECOM, the Technical Communicators Society in Germany, we found out that we definitely need a concept named IRRDS Action, because of course we have to integrate topics related to a specific action, and then all the members of the development group, most of them aren't terminologists. I'm the only one, I think. They poured in hundreds of words without context, and there is the leader of that group, so to say, was a bit annoyed because he tried to gather all these words and cluster them, but without any context, it's very difficult to describe what is meant, you know.
Yeah.
We all know. Okay, something like grounding. What might grounding be? There's a lot of possibilities. So I was looking for ontologies, taxonomies, whatever, and didn't find anything.
Really?
Until someone told, a technical writer, former technical writer, he posted in the Jira system, he posted some picture of, some taxonomy of joining technology and so on, joining whatever. And then, then I recognized that I have a very good book for that, like basic knowledge on metalworks, something like that, for my studies as a technical translator. I forgot about that. That's 30 years ago. But there isn't any drawn taxonomy, no picture, but the text is it's set up the way that you know. Okay, this is a taxonomy. Something like we have joining processes. We have where do I have them? Cutting and forming and
what about the standards? Sometimes we have really a lot of raw diamonds, I would call it.
I was trying to find something in the OBP, but it's difficult. I was thinking about manufacturing processes, vocabulary, because a lot of these standards is called the vocabulary. But I got so many hits that I got lost there.
Okay, I see.
And then I decided to build a taxonomy within Visio in an organigram. So that I have a hierarchy, and then I put the terms in there, and and I'm just translating all the things I found in German, and then I have to give it to someone who knows what it's all about. A friend of mine is working.
Well, excellent, but this is very exciting, and you're still in love with that work.
I like it very much because, as I said, most of the people in that working group aren't used to do terminology, and nobody delivered a definition. So the leader or convener, or whatever you might call it, he tried to define something, but he's no terminologist either. And it is a bit difficult. So we all agreed, the three that have been in the last meeting, and then we cut it off because that was much too little for that very, very important issue. We agree that there has to be some sort of taxonomy with some context, of course, some definitions wherever we find them, and but it's on its way.
Wonderful.
That part of it. There's still a lot of different super concepts, all the repair part and so on. I didn't do that, but I think I had to start in some place, and that was
definitely
manufacturing process.
Definitely. Excellent, Sabine. Thank you so much. What about you, Andre? How are you enjoying terminology currently?
Hi. Okay. I've been very busy with my own work, which is not really related to terminology, so I was a bit behind. But I've managed to, how can I say, to sell the product, my project to my manager.
Yeah.
Which was a big thing for me because it's, as I said before, it's a financial company. So anything that doesn't bring money, not really impressed. But I said that to have this glossary, this terminology glossary about all the corporate term would be useful for newcomer and all this. So she said, okay. So now I'm at the stage where I am selecting the terms and giving them definition. Then I will submit them to each group to have their confirmation, or to ask them to give me more explanation, because there are terms that I'm guessing, but I really don't know what they mean. So yeah, that's where I am. But
excellent, a very good start. Congratulations, Andre.
Thank you.
That's the very first and most important step to get the okay, to get the budget, to get time
exactly
for your project.
Yeah, and I found I was afraid to get the company, well, my manager, and then now the other team involved. I found it difficult to approach the other team and to tell them, okay, here my project. And I'm still struggling with that, because it's really, nobody talks about terminology. It's not at all their passion. So yeah, I feel awkward.
Yeah.
But
you know, it was very interesting when Sarah this morning, it was yesterday in the workshop, we had the full day workshop, and she was telling us that first, when she started to work for Oracle, she actually was really lost. Nobody actually cared. and she just then she reached out to people, and there were a lot of, all these technical writers, all the software developers, and she got hardly any response or feedback. But then there was that one individual, empathic one. he just helped her, but he helped her so much, and then introduced her to the community. And from that minute and that moment on, she got all the support she needed. As you just said it, you can't do that alone, and you can't guess. You need the input and context from the experts.
Yes.
So you are on your way, Andre. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Perfect. Marilee, what about you? What was your highlight, your terminology highlight?
Hi. I think this is my highlight right here, right now, meeting you.
That's so nice. Thank you. But I agree with you. It is my highlight as well. I always look so much forward.
Yeah, it is my first time here.
Oh, welcome. Hello.
Yeah.
So great. We usually, we usually really take 2, 3, sometimes 4 issues. So I always encourage you to prepare something or so. Or of course you can come up spontaneously with a problem, a challenge you have with terminology. And sometimes I really think it's important to highlight the good stuff, the fun we have. That's why I kind of spontaneously dedicated, because I was so proud this morning about that keynote with that audience and with Sarah. It was really a milestone also for me, and that's why I actually spontaneously decided, why not dedicate this terminology group coaching to the the highlights. we all have a lot of challenges anyhow, so we need to strengthen ourselves from time to time with focusing on the positive things. That's why. So what was your positive thing, except that it's very kind that you call it a highlight?
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's a good thing, but I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
For you.
Yes.
Do you think it's possible to spend only 5 minutes on a term with good results? A good result being it is useful for a translator, for instance.
Excellent questions. Excellent question. Yeah. I would really spontaneously say yes, but it's up to the group to a little bit reflect on that, because you know, it entirely depends on your experience, on your knowledge, on the way you're working, really also the resources you have. So I've seen it actually also in the past that you can do that, but you can't expect that it's always 5 minutes. So that's very, sometimes it takes hours, but also if the text, for instance, think about term extraction, if the text and the content is very rich, so why not do that in 5 minutes? Then it's easy. And if you have the right resources, if you can look up what Sabine told us, this is the opposite. There, one entry might take really a long period of time. But yeah, it's not easy to say without knowing that specific case. But in principle, yes, it's doable. Would you agree, dear colleagues in the group? Would you agree with that, or would you, it's very rare cases? What is your experience here? Could you repeat again, Mary-Lee? The question was?
Do you think it's possible to spend only 5 minutes on a term, still with good results, so that it is useful for a translator, for instance?
Translator.
I do terminology work in, we are standardizing technical communication vocabulary in a standard, in a standard to be an ISO standard within TC 37. And yeah, there are terms. If you find a suitable definition within the OBP, Open Browsing Platform, and yeah, and you're happy with it, it might take just 3, 4, 5 minutes, and that's it. But there are also other terms which differ, and there is slight variation in the terms, and then it becomes difficult. We had a lot of discussions on media, means, channels, all the communication stuff, and that was very hard. That wasn't something we could solve within 5 minutes. So I'm just trying to do a little taxonomy for that issue so that we can discuss about it, and that takes much longer. Yeah, it depends. Like Gabriele said, depends on whether there's a complex super concept, and the sub-concepts might vary only in slight differences in meaning, but some of the terms, they are straightforward, and everything's okay. You can't tell in advance.
Yeah, that's true. Kirsten, please.
It's also a bit related. Oh, sorry.
First Kiss, and then Barbara, you. Yeah, Kirsten, please.
Following up on what Sabine just said, I also remember a specific instance where, I mean, most of the time, well, luckily we're blessed with easy words and straightforward terms, or we would all just jump out the window. There would be no more terminologists in the world anyway. But there's no straight answer on that, Mary-Lee, because as Sabine just said, there can be variations, but I remember one specific case where big corporate setting, and the teams, they were pressuring the translating teams to work quicker and quicker and faster and faster. We sometimes had to find I don't know what your present situation is, but we had to find a working term. And sometimes you can, even in a complex situation, find a working solution if you know that that word will only be 50 times or 100 times, and then you can then ultimately next week replace it. Okay, that can work, but it gets even more complicated. I remember this one time I had to find the name for a color that it was not only it had to be the color, I mean relevant, like, but it was not allowed to be a proper name. It was not, because there were these cool, like, you know, Sahara, that can be a color, like a cream desert. No, because Sahara is a proper name. And it went on and on and on. And we literally, with my top teams that I managed for many years, but the last 4 years in that position, we chew on this one word. And one day, finally, like, I took this word in Spanish, and it was supposed to be rocoso, meaning rocky, like a desert. And will you believe it, after 4 years, and with my team, this is still a joke, I rarely make typos because most of us here were neurotic about spelling. When I finally send the term, like, okay, we have it, it's not a prominence, it's not taken, it's not copyright, you know, we had this criteria like this. I type it, and instead of typing rocoso, I type coroso. And I get this email back, almost 5 years. We love it. New York thinks that's the perfect name. And we're like, but and I could never go back. And if you look up on the certain brand, a certain polo, a certain color, you will find Caroso instead of Rocoso. Anyway. So
wonderful example. That's a wonderful example. That's how crazy our life is. Wonderful, thank you.
I like
so
it.
much. Yeah, Barbara, what about you? You wanted to say something?
Yes, it can also depend on the people who are in the approval process for this specific term.
Yes.
I got the experience that whenever there's at least one person who feels very strongly about a term because it's somehow his or her baby, because it's maybe something they studied or it's their personal development and they have invented this part, then it can get complicated, because then people have a very big interest in getting their own results, even if maybe you point out that from a terminology perspective, this may not be the ideal way forward, and that there are good reasons behind challenging something. Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
So then it gets complicated, but yeah, we also have some items where people don't feel as well as personally involved maybe, and then it can be a very quick process.
Definitely, very good aspect. And I also like what Alexandra wrote in the chat. If you can pass on the text to someone else to check, then yes. I like that very much. Alexandra, would you like to comment on that, to elaborate a little bit further from your experience, because you are a translator? Alexandra, we can't hear you. Oh, it doesn't work. So maybe. Yes.
Okay, sorry, I had a sticker over my microphone.
Okay.
Sorry. I always try to involve stakeholders.
Yes.
As I learned in our course. And my highlight today, I mean, of course, today our meeting is our highlight, but I had one a few weeks ago, actually. When I was in hospital, the physician came in and he said to me and the lady next to me, well, you are Punkt in German, point 1 and point 2. And we sort of said, point, what does point mean? I didn't, the lady next to me said, and he said, well, that's the way we physicians say, you are number 1, you are number 2. So he was trying to explain in plain language for us what physicians use as their jargon, sort of instead of you're number 1 and you're number 2. They tried to change that to make it sound less, sort of impersonal. And so they now say Punkt 1, and I was about to kiss him and say, oh, thank you for explaining what you say, because he was trying to explain that's our jargon. He said that's how we physicians say that. We say Punkt 1 and Punkt 2. And the other thing was, I do a lot of work. I mean, I have lots of different terminologies. I might be doing one thing one day and another thing another day, and it's completely different terminologies. So I'm switching. I'm forever switching. Yeah, and I deal with non-standardized terms a lot because I get these texts and people don't use the terms that you find in terminologies or glossaries. They use their own terms, so they're not standardized really. But another highlight was, again, I tried to involve the stakeholder, the author of the text, because he wrote, it was also a physician actually, he wrote Ganz dots. And there is a term called Ganz sign. That's the official term you find in all the textbooks and everywhere. It's a part of the eye. It's in ophthalmology.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and it's called Ganz sign. It's a strange term that you have to explain because no one knows what you're referring to. And I asked him, are Ganz dots the same as a Ganz sign? And he said, yes, it's the same thing. But just white glittering dots or whatever. Glitzernde Punkte, that's fine. So. That was one of those instructional lessons on how not to involve stakeholders because you don't really get the answer you're looking for. You sort of, yeah, it's the same thing. I use Ganz dots instead of Ganz sign, and then you sort of go back to the beginning again. You know, okay, there is a term. It's called Ganz signs. Why can't we use Ganz signs? No, because I use Ganz dots, and you can just write glittering terms for the common reader. You know, the lay person, just write white glittering dots, that's fine. And it's sort of, those are my highlights.
Wonderful.
On the gender terminology, in fictional text, I realized that we're quite lucky in German actually to have gendered terms, like for instance, female and male servants, Diener and Dienerin, because in English, authors have to use female servant or male servant, for instance, to make the difference clear. Or I might get a client asking for a copy, an advertisement text, and it's not allowed to exceed a certain number of words. It has to be 70 words, for instance, because they won't be able to fit it on the website or wherever if it's larger. And then sort of I have to prepare different versions, including on the one hand the new little star sign, for instance, for German. I don't know, Diener, Star, Innen, and yeah, to make it gender neutral, and then you have to, of course, also change the article in a lot of text, or fit the text around it somehow, and then it makes it longer, so that in the end you really have to, you know, take the version that sort of integrates all the aspects, addresses everyone, but it doesn't end up being too long. And that really is very, very difficult. But it's a lot of fun, and those are my highlights sort of every day.
Great. Thank you so much, Alexandra. What about you, Roberta? What was your highlight, your terminology highlight? Hello.
Hi, everybody. Greetings from my office in Rome. Actually, this month was practically all devoted to IT problems, but we fixed them, and we finally had a glimpse of excelling multi-term that was very useful to do to implement some fixing in our term base. We realized that it was because our server was down for a few days, and we just had a reliable TB to use, and our translators were very glad in those days. Another highlight is that we are working on a training to be addressed to our translators. So we are collecting a few terminology and it's important for them. So we are collecting ideas, and maybe we could keep in touch also for collecting some topics, or to recommend some good teacher, because it would be very interesting to propose them a very high quality level of course, and and give them the possibility to go in there. So if it's not their main task, but
Yeah,
it
sure.
would be interesting.
Sure. Yes,
according
we
to
are
me.
actually, we are very busy in developing the course we announced at the summer school this year. This
Yeah.
special, yeah, it will be a mixture between the ECQA Certified Terminology Manager Basic, the generic one, plus
Okay.
the focus on translation, you know. So that could be interesting for you. That is definitely a new certificate also, and we are preparing the training materials. Some of the modules will be more or less the same as for the basic course, but mainly it will also be, we will rework it, and we will just, you know, you have to bring the examples from translation, then people feel addressed. Yeah? So even if it's generic, we actually try to then give examples or short, you know, short statements about what it means for translating. And some of the modules, like machine translation issues, yeah, they are definitely new. So yes, keep in touch. That sounds very interesting, and we try to cater also for these needs. Thank you so much, Roberta. So we have Maribel, last but not least, what was your highlight?
Well, hello everyone.
Hello.
I hope you all had a great summer.
Yes.
Well, one of my highlights was a real surprise. I experienced it a few days ago because a client of mine requested a glossary. And actually, well, they said that they wanted a glossary, but I was surprised by how much time they had allocated for this glossary, because they had actually taken into account that glossaries actually take much longer than usual translation projects. And this is not usual, not at least for the clients I used to work for. Well, this client had allocated 15 hours for a, well, actually for a 500 term glossary. So I was surprised because actually my experience with clients is that they think that actually glossaries take as long as a common translation, as any other translation. And this is my first client who actually, who really knew that glossaries, terminological databases, take much longer than that. And this is a client who is lately very quality oriented and is taking a step-by-step approach to obtaining higher quality materials for translators. So, well, this is my highlight.
This is a highlight, Maribel. Wonderful! Congratulations. You know, when I'm auditing translation service providers against ISO 17100, this is always one of my questions when it comes to the terminology work they are doing. If their clients send glossaries already, you know, and I'm doing that for almost 10 years now. Am I lying? More than 10 years. In 2006, the EN 15038 was published, so the European Standard on Translation Quality. So that it's 15, almost 15 years now. And it was always actually hardly. They rarely send anything. There is no awareness. So in this respect, this is really, really good news. Yeah? And it always, from my experience, really it always is connected to a high quality approach. You know,
yes, I agree with you.
Yes, and then it's really fun to have such clients. Is rewarding, is fun, is really, you know, also promising for the future. So be picky, search for such clients, because then everything is actually fine then, even the income, you know, the revenues, because usually it's related also, their high quality approach and requirement is also related to the fees they're paying us. you know, because it's too important for them, and they understand already. When they understand that a glossary, you know, is worth investing in terms of time, which is that is a currency, time. Then they also understand that your work is highly important and valuable, and needs a good salary. Yeah. Thank you so much. Guys, this was it, a very special terminology group coaching in September. We were talking about highlights in terminology. And I don't know about you, but I feel very energized, and I look forward to the evening and to my dinner. And I thank you ever so much for your contributions. I look very much forward to next month. We will stay in touch. Please think about issues, stories, also the good stories we have to share, and strategies how we make our life as terminology experts more fun, easier, and more energizing, like we did today. So thank you so much. See you guys. Enjoy. Bye-bye. All the very best.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Take care.
Stay healthy.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
All